in the busted seat.
Winston's little brother's gonna be a problem, huh?
Oh yeah.
He's a beast.
He's
Wait, that's-
yeah, he's on that.
That's Winston's little brother?
Yeah, dude. He's a
No wonder
tank.
why I knew he looked mad familiar, bro.
Yeah, 10 years old. He was the best player on the 12U team.
Yeah, he came over to my team, the team that won the EBL.
Yeah.
He came over and practiced with us. He's like, yeah, I want to check you guys out, you know what I mean? But I'm with the base. I'm like, yeah, good stuff, bro.
Yeah, and he knows it. He has that discipline.
Yeah.
You know, he's always on that grind, knows how to practice, put in
Oh,
some
yeah.
work.
Oh, that did. My team was stacked last year. Like, we had a bunch of kids from Lawrence come down and play for us. So, there was, like, this kid named Trout. Like, he got a nickname.
Trout?
Trout.
That's his name or nickname?
His nickname.
It's a good nickname.
Dude, because he played like Mike Trout. It was unbelievable. And, yeah, this kid Jeldy and this kid Jaden. And they were just lights out every time they pitched.
Damn.
Yeah.
What age is that?
I was 12 and under.
12?
Yeah. Actually, no, it was last year, so it was 11 and under.
That's the funnest age of baseball.
So much fun.
When you're 12 and you're just about to go to the big field, but you're playing on the little field, so hitting the home runs is like, I feel like a big leaguer.
They had a lot of energy, man. A lot of energy.
Oh, yeah.
And they just love the game, you know.
Carefree.
Yeah. They're just playing because they love it, you know.
That's right.
Good. How's everybody doing? Baseball's dead. We're back. We got co-host Joe Caracadis here, dugout boy Teddy Mercado, and our special guest Samuel Steves. Sam, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
That's great. Hey, we're absent of my father here today. You know, he's in Dominican Republic, laying by the pool. You know, with his academy out there. Shouts out to my dad. So Sam, how's your day going, man? Happy Valentine's Day, all that good stuff, you know?
Happy Valentine's Day, yeah. Shout out to my girl, Daliana, if she's listening right now.
Nice.
Got me a nice Valentine's Day breakfast.
There you
That
go.
was nice. Good way to start the day.
Breakfast. I made
I went out
breakfast
for
for
lunch
the family. Hey, Caleb, Kayla, and Carissa, and Chip. Hello.
Hey, Teddy, you want to shout out?
Shout out to the fam
Hey.
and baby girl.
Yeah, shout out to Marissa. I love you. Happy Valentine's Day. Hey, Sam, so, you know, I met you when I was 13 years old. We go way back, man.
Way back.
We had a great, talented team. When I met you, you're actually in a wheelchair. You came very far from that day that I met you, you know. Unreal talent. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how you bounced back from that?
Yeah, I mean, just taking it one day at a time. I remember when I was in my accident, I broke both my legs. I was hit by a car, and that happened in May. So for the whole summer after I got out of the hospital, I was just sitting in the lazy boy, just wasting my summer away. I really felt left out, you know, a lot of FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of FOMO that year. But yeah, after I was able to walk again, just doing everything I could to be able to walk as well as I could. I remember at first just kind of walking slowly, holding onto the walls. For the first couple months after I got my cast taken off and I was strong enough to walk, I had two crutches in each arm, so I'd have like 4 legs walking.
Yep.
And yeah, kids at school, they would take one of my walkers away sometimes just to mess with me, and I think that actually really helped my recovery, to be honest. You know, it was just me being sick of sitting around and not being able to walk. You know, once you have something that you take for granted like that, as simple as walking, once you have that taken away, it really creates this drive to, okay, I want that back, and just doing everything you can every day to get that back. Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. So I created some passion in a sense.
Oh yeah, definitely more of a drive. Yeah, just to walk and run and play baseball. I didn't miss baseball that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it happened right in the end of my high school season. So definitely wanted to get back out in the field and play.
Awesome. Where did you go to high school, Sam?
At Boston Latin Academy. Shout out Dragons.
Hey, there
Let's
you go. Awesome. And how were your grades throughout high school?
Well, that was the thing. When that accident happened, that was at the end of my 8th grade year at Latin Academy. So going into that high school year, My teachers, they all passed me for that semester. It was close to the end of the year. I missed the last month, but I passed all my classes. I think that was more of a sympathy thing more than I earned it. But I passed my classes, and that whole next year, my first year of high school, I was missing a lot of time in and out of surgeries. I had a lot of surgeries even after my legs had healed. My right leg healed at a bowed angle because of the external fixations I had initially that didn't set straight. So I actually had another surgery where they put an Ender's rod down the center of my bone in my right leg, because bones are hollow, who knew?
Oh, wow.
Which slowly straightened it out over a period of like 3 months, which was painful, painful process. And then I had that taken out. So I was missing a lot of time that first year, my 9th grade year, which definitely set me back with my grades. I was definitely not as focused on my classes as I was on my recovery, and that it just set the tone for my whole high school career, grade-wise, always behind, always catching up. That kind of became my identity, so I never really excelled academically in high school.
Okay. But as far as going into college, how did you go about that, knowing that your grades might not be where you wanted them to be? How did you go searching for colleges and know that you wanted to take baseball to another level as well?
Well, that was the thing. It was a realization, because I had the talent to play. I was playing baseball well, a year, 2 years, 3 years after my recovery. I was playing well. My grades are what kept me back. There was a lot of coaches who expressed interest, like how I played. I'd send my transcripts, and they, we can't really work with those transcripts. So finding a home to play baseball in college, my grades became a handicap. So I actually had to do a post-grad year at Worcester Academy. I was just telling you guys. That was a year to just boost my GPA, another year to develop physically with baseball, and look for schools, send those letters, try to get college coaches to come scout the games. And I was able to find a home at Franklin Pierce that following year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Worcester Academy, did you live there? Did you have
Yeah,
that experience?
Yeah, I boarded.
So what do you, tell us a little bit about that experience, going from Boston Latin Academy, from your home, to a place where you're on your own.
Yeah, mommy's not there to take care of you.
Yeah.
So talk about that experience.
Definitely a little bit of a wake-up call, You're used to having your mom do your laundry, pick up after you, make you all your meals, tell you when to go to bed, remind you to do this, remind you to do that. But, living on your own for the first time, it's tough. It's, you're homesick, you're missing your family, you have piles of laundry, you're not really feeding yourself well. You got to learn how to do all those things. It was actually a good way to start, a good way to transition to me then going to college my next year, because I was a little more prepared, a little more used to living on my own. I would still go home and on the weekends, most weekends, when I was at Worcester Academy. But yeah, just living on your own, getting used to, being away from the fam, living with a bunch of guys at a dorm room, living in like that sort of community. It's definitely a shift.
Oh yeah.
Well,
you
you
have to adjust.
talked about like putting yourself in that position where you had a little bit of handicap of not getting ahead academically, but you went there to maybe get a little bit better in baseball and to get better in grades, but you also went there to mature.
Right.
It's a life changer.
Right.
Talk a little bit about how that changed your life.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really think about those things that your parents kind of take care of when you're a kid in high school, like laundry, feeding yourself, waking up on time, having your clothes folded neatly in your drawer. It's just kind of experiencing that for the first time. It's hard, definitely take some hits, definitely realize it's a wake-up call. It's definitely a wake-up call. So you just slowly but surely take steps where you're kind of building a routine, where you're kind of taking care of those things that you didn't have to take care of before.
Yeah, no, it's great. They just mentioned routine, and we
Yeah.
talk about routine from the first episode to this episode.
Very true.
And, some of the skills that he probably attained while he was there is, number one, time management.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
You know,
Sure.
You know, what was your schedule like at a prep school versus a regular high school?
Well, one of the biggest differences at prep school, we had to have shirt and tie every morning. So learning how to tie a tie,
There you
for
go.
instance, definitely a little stricter on being late at the prep school than they were at Boston Latin Academy, which is a public school. So yeah, waking up a little extra early just to tie that tie, get it right, maybe ask my roommate for help a few dozen times. But yeah, that time management, that discipline, it's a skill. It's a skill that you've got to work to develop. It's not something that you're inherently born with. That self-discipline is something you have to manage and learn how to develop. Set little goals for yourself. Starting the day making your bed. Picking up all the clothes maybe you threw on the ground the day before. Just having that process of developing that self-discipline. That's really important.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely.
Well, so go from there. So you went there. Is that a 1 year, 13th grade type of thing?
Yep, 1 year. It was a great year, had a blast, and the next year was my first year at college at Franklin Pierce, which was another little bit of a wake-up call. At Worcester Academy, I was able to go home on the weekends, at least most weekends. At
Yeah.
Franklin Pierce, definitely a little further away.
Yep.
Didn't have a car. So not only am I stuck at school, I'm stuck on campus. So just kind of adapting to that new community, which it's similar to Worcester Academy, but a little different. In high school, even if you're boarding at a prep school, you still kind of got teachers and counselors holding your hand. At college, you're an adult, so no one's holding your hand, no one's forcing you to go to class, no one's forcing you to do anything. You got to realize you're at college; it's an investment. So you gotta make the most out of it. No one cares if you get an A or an F. You paid the money.
You paid the money.
So it's like you really gotta understand that.
Yeah.
It's like college is probably the thing people. It's one of the most expensive things people pay for and don't even try to get their money's worth out of it. People go pay and they're thinking about everything but the academics, the college party scene.
Yeah.
The
Girls.
athletics, the girls.
Seeing
Yeah.
kids lose himself freshman year and never come back to college again after that.
Right. Yeah. And that
$80,000 down the drain to go party and
I see it often.
Yeah.
I
It's
see it more than you
unbelievable.
think. You know.
And that freshman year, it's so important. It sets the tone. Like looking back at my high school career, starting that year off injured and behind in all my classes, that sets the tone. That became my identity for the rest of high school. I was the kid who didn't excel in the classroom. Kind of the kid who's kind of behind, the kid who's late. And I kind of embraced that. That becomes your identity. You embrace your identity that way. So that's kind of how you think of yourself. So that first year, setting the tone with anything is so important.
And when you went to Worcester Academy, did you kind of change that tone when you first got there?
Yeah, for sure. I remember at BLA, that was my superlative. I won class clown. I was the goofball, and I kind of tried to take that to Worcester Academy. Thinking people would gravitate towards that. At Boston Latin Academy, everyone really liked me. I was popular there. I was funny. Being the goofball at a school that's maybe a little more serious than Boston Latin Academy, people didn't really gravitate towards that. It was kind of like, who's this arrogant kid? Who's this cocky kid? Is this disruptive kid?
What is he doing?
Yeah, what's he
Yeah.
doing? So I kind of came to that realization, like, okay, people don't like me as a disruptor, as a funny guy. Kind of had to find that new identity that fit in well with what people wanted.
Yeah, no, it's a different world. Prep school. They're trying to set you up for adulthood,
Yeah.
really. And when they do have class clowns, they got to nip it in the bud immediately
Right.
because they're trying to teach structure.
Yeah.
And if you're interrupting that structure, you're not going to be there for long because most of the people that go there are trying to take advantage of getting a little bit more mature, getting better in the classroom, getting bigger, stronger, better at their craft.
Yeah.
And they take it serious. So I'm sure you figured that out pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just the teachers and the faculty; it was the students too. The students were kind of looking at me like, "What's this guy doing?"
Yeah.
And it's like it's again to the investment aspect of public school. You're not paying thousands of dollars to attend, but at prep school, those kids are there, they're invested, and most of them understand that.
Yeah.
And it's like they're working adults, they're committed to their futures, they're working hard towards it, and just kind of seeing that, being around that, it's like, okay, I kind of got to change my attitude. I got to change my my mentality here.
So going from that prep school to Franklin Pierce, which is NCAA, you have to qualify to get in and play.
Yep.
Could you have gone from Boston Latin to Franklin Pierce without that prep school in between?
I think I could have. Maybe not. Actually, maybe not. Because that post-grad year gave me just a chance to boost my GPA, which definitely helped me become accepted to the school. You know, it's not just about the baseball coach wants you to play there. The school's got to
Yeah.
accept you.
Yep.
So, yeah, being accepted, but just being able to develop, I think definitely my freshman and sophomore year at Franklin Pierce, looking back, definitely see myself as immature. But just having that year at Worcester Academy, that extra year of development, really helped me a lot. That was really beneficial for me.
Yeah, so you basically answered the question. Sometimes the journey is going to be different than others, and
Yep.
you need that extra help. And it's not, I mean, you went through public school and it was accepted that you took on that identity that you were the class clown having a blast, right?
Right.
No one stood in your way and said, hey, knock it off.
No, not really, no.
Right, but when you pay to go someplace
Yeah.
that's taking it serious, it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I just know, looking back at it, going from 17 when I graduated high school, I was already in school in Florida at 17, looking around going, what am I doing here? The kids are graduating 19, 20 now.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were at a post-grad, you had 20-year-olds that you were probably living with.
Yeah.
You know, that 3 years difference,
That's crazy.
mentality, makeup, the whole 9 yards, and
Maturity.
learn, you know, being able to learn how to make mistakes, and you know, not that it's so much acceptable, but you get a little bit of freedom.
Yeah.
You know, at a prep school, you make a couple mistakes,
You're
after
gone.
you're forewarned, you're gone.
Right.
You got to follow the rules.
Right. I remember being suspended. I was packing a dip in my dorm room on a Sunday night. And one of the dorm parents came in and saw me with the dip in. I got suspended, and everyone in the room who was with me, they weren't doing that, but they got suspended too.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's strict there.
It's crazy.
You're there for a reason. You're not there to mess around or goof off. You're there to progress, and they don't accept anything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Progression.
I've seen many kids come out of prep schools change men.
Yep.
You know, not only athletically, but being able to carry on a conversation.
Yeah.
It's obvious that
It's important.
he's well-rounded and can carry on a conversation, but his journey is going to be different than the other guys, but his journey is important. You know, coming from, you know, being disabled,
Yeah.
beating the fact that you're behind in class, and now, hopefully that you finish school. Did you finish school?
I finished school. I actually just finished my grad program, so I have my master's degree.
That's
Awesome,
awesome.
man.
So, look,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
that's an amazing story in itself.
Yeah.
He can go back to Boston Latin and show the teachers,
Right.
this is who and what I am, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
really-
really.
He picked me as class clown. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, that was an honor to me back
But
then.
that was his choice. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what he thought was acceptable.
Yep.
Right.
And you know, he tried to bring that with him, and it didn't work, so he changed his ways. And look, in grad school, I mean, come on, look at your story.
Yeah. I mean, going through that recovery of when I was in that car accident, and changing my ways from Boston Latin Academy to prep school and college and then grad school. It's learning how to trust the process. It's not. Nothing's going to happen for you or really change in one day, in 1 week, in 1 month. It's a little bit of work every day, developing, kind of creating that roadmap in your head, that plan of attack, how you're going to go about things, how you're going to create this change. But just learning how to trust the process, I feel like that's a big part of everyone's development that isn't as clear. Not everyone trusts the process. People kind of focus on end results, but they don't focus as much as they should on the present process. They're looking towards or nervous about the future, and that just only serves as a handicap. It's not going to help you. That being worried about the future. It's just focusing on the present, trusting the process, doing what you can today to set yourself up for tomorrow.
Yep. We got a comment from Ryan Hernandez here. He says, one of the most hardworking men I ever got to meet through my cousin Chris and the Boston Astros way back. Now he's helping kids in the inner city. Shout out to Ryan Hernandez.
Shout out Ryan. What up, Ryan?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember Ryan going to our games as a little kid. He was like, man, this kid was shorter than me, and I was a pretty short guy. Now he towers over me. This guy's huge now.
Yep,
no,
he's
he's a big-
raking too.
Yeah,
Big
big
boy.
things coming from Ryan.
Yep.
Yep.
No, it's cool. You're talking about what the journey is and you're trying to create good habits that you had no clue about,
Right.
you know, and it's going to go with you forever for the rest of your life to be able to give back now what your journey was, where you were at, where you are now, and it matters to kids that only know what they know, right? People only know what they're told.
Yep.
You know, in this society and what we're dealing with now in the world, you don't know who to trust. And he's talking about a process. How do you trust the process if you don't really know the process? You know, you got to surround yourself with like-minded people that have goals. And another thing that he brought up was, you know, jotting down things that matter. You know, if you didn't have a calendar or a schedule at the prep school, how would you know what to do?
Right.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah, the calendar, your schedule, that kind of sets your life. You're looking at the schedule. What do I have today? This. You know, the after school, then practice, meeting here, and then you go to college, and there's no, you know, you have your class schedule, but that's it, and
Yep.
no one's enforcing it. So you really got to have that self-discipline to, like, you know, I'm paying for this. I got to wake up. I got to go to this class. I don't really want to, but I got to do it because, you know, as human beings, you got to do what you got to do to develop, to make a living, to develop yourself. You got to do what you got to do, and
And you also want to make your family proud as well.
yeah, you want to make your
Yep.
family proud, and, you know, use those things as motivators. That's definitely what I do.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to.
So tell me what went on from Worcester Academy baseball, because I know a lot about all the academies, prep schools, all that stuff.
Okay.
Going from that level, well, first of all, Boston Latin to Worcester Academy, the different level of baseball, and then to Franklin Pierce. So just so all the pundits and people don't understand the difference of levels of baseball,
Yeah.
that level of baseball is very, very good baseball.
Oh yeah.
It's like if you didn't know, you would have no clue that little Johnny, that's the all-star, being a 13-year-old, could never play there.
Yeah.
Unless he worked his tail off his 4 years of high school just to even get on the field. So talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, at BLA, I was the best player on the team. One of the best players in all the city, because I was one of those players who was committed to baseball. That's what my life kind of gravitated around. So I was practicing and training and playing 365 days a year round. So it was easy to excel at Boston Latin Academy. Then going to Worcester Academy was definitely a jump in competition. At BLA, I was like one of the only players in the whole city who was that committed to baseball, where they're practicing and training year round. Then I go to prep school, where everyone on my team, everyone on every other school's team is practicing and playing every year round.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, it's a jump in competition, which wasn't a huge transition for me because, well, from BLA it was night and day, but just playing on the Astros and AAU teams during the summer, I was kind of used to higher competition. That was definitely the highest level I'd played at that point. But it was, you know, you're playing in Boston Public fields, and it doesn't feel legit at all. You know, then you go to these fields, and they're like pristine. They got the grounds crew, you got the
Yep,
nice
yep.
uniforms, you got the nice equipment. So it's kind of like, wow, this is
The real deal.
really nice. So just playing on those really bad fields in Boston and going to those really nice fields, those prep schools,
Yeah.
definitely was easier fielding the ball for sure.
Yeah.
What about
awesome.
the talent level from Worcester Academy to Franklin Pierce, the scholarship-driven baseball program, really?
Yeah, then you go to college, where it's like you have less than 20 guys on the team, and then in high school, and then in college you have more than 20 guys on the pitching staff.
Yeah.
You know, so at Franklin Pierce, we'd roll into other schools 55 guys deep.
Yep.
We'd have an army of
Yep.
these huge, you know, that was the thing at Franklin Pierce. Everyone would grow out their long beards, so everyone
Yeah.
had these huge beards, and there's me, baby faced, this really baggy uniform. But yeah, it's intimidating. I remember going to tryouts that freshman year because I was a preferred walk-on. I didn't even get a scholarship going out of Worcester Academy. So I remember going to those tryouts, and there's 200 kids there trying out, and it's just like, whoa, how am I gonna make this team now? You know, something that you're so sure about going in, then you see all those guys trying out, like, oh, maybe I'm not as sure. You know, everyone seems pretty good here.
Yeah.
So I remember just making the team that freshman year. I had some friends at Franklin Pierce there with me, and we were all really good ball players. And I remember that first week of tryouts, going up to the coach's office where they posted the cut list, just so like celebrating that we survived the first round of cuts. You know, you go from being the top guy on a really good team in prep school baseball, then you're at the bottom of the totem pole in college. You know, just fighting to make the team.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big transition, a big reality shift.
Oh yeah.
Being humbled at Franklin Pierce was definitely a big part of my experience. You know, you're not the big shot in the baseball team. You're just a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
So just kind of creating that name for yourself, creating that reputation, establishing your presence on the team, and getting playing time. I remember that was tough.
Yeah, I had a question about that. So, how did you separate yourself to make sure you got that playing time?
Well, I separated myself in the wrong way at first. Looking back, I kind of took a step back from everything and was kind of trying to feel everything out. You know, where do I fit in here? What position am I gonna play? Because I tried out as an infielder and a pitcher, and the coach liked me as a pitcher, didn't like me as an infielder.
Unbelievable infielder, by the way.
Yeah, that summer
I believe it.
going into Franklin Pierce, that summer I broke my wrist, my left wrist, my glove wrist. So all I could really do was field and throw. I couldn't swing a bat. So going into tryouts, I was rusty to say the least, swinging, but I could throw it. So I was getting good numbers on the mound in tryouts. So that's how they saw me from there on out. So I was always a secondary pitcher. You know, I'd come in from shortstop and pitch in relief some games.
Yep.
And then at college, I became a pitcher only, where I'm not fielding in the field, I'm not hitting with the players, I'm working out with the pitchers, I'm throwing. So it's kind of like I had to find myself again as a pitcher, because now looking back, I just started learning to pitch after I left Franklin Pierce, you know, because learning how to pitch, it's a whole other beast than being a position player. There's such a fine-tuned skill
Yeah.
pitching is, and you know it takes a long time to realize that, yet alone learn that. So I'm still learning. I'm still trying to learn how to really maximize the efficiency of my mechanics, you know, putting force into that ball without straining my body over and over. You know, just having that, I like to call it with the pitchers I work with, just having that easy cheese. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to be putting all that force into the pitch. You want to have that force come from the efficiency of your mechanics. And just stuff like that took a long time for me to learn. So not only the bottom of the totem pole on the team, I was bottom of the totem pole out of the pitchers that freshman year as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, go on with your story, because the art of pitching and the art of hitting doesn't happen overnight.
Nope.
Doesn't happen overnight. It's definitely a process, and you know, the best processes, they lead to failure. But what separates greatness from mediocrity is how you respond to failure. You know, failure creates that development if you respond from it. You know, how many times can you
100%.
get back up after getting knocked down? And I remember my sophomore year, that freshman year I didn't play. I redshirted. I ended up getting hurt right before the season, but I wouldn't have played anyways because we're so deep pitching wise that we had a lot of really good pitchers. But that sophomore year, you know, I started to make a name for myself. I had a good summer ball. I came back really strong. I had focused on pitching that whole year. I was throwing as hard as I had ever thrown. And just during that fall ball, I excelled. During winter ball, I excelled, and I was the top reliever and the fifth starting pitcher going into the season that sophomore year, which on a really good team, that team ended up, we tied a NCAA record for win percentage. We won 50 wins and 2 losses during the regular season.
Wow.
Jeez.
And
You guys faced SNU, right, in the championship?
we faced SNU in regionals. We eliminated SNU. SNU actually handed us one of our 2 losses in extra innings. Both of our losses that year were extra
that.
inning losses.
Wow.
We got upset in regionals that year, going 2-2. We got eliminated by Stack, St. Thomas Aquinas. But that team was incredible. But yeah, I came into the season. I was the number 1 reliever out of the pen and that 5th starter. because you carry 4 starters, and if you have a lot of games in a row, like starting the season and carry, you need that 5th starter. And I had my first start at Mount Olive, Friday night game against a really good team.
It's not a joke. Because, I mean, being in the scouting world, you know the Tampas of the world, the Mount Olives, the best Division II schools in the country.
Yeah, and man, was I nervous leading up to that game.
I bet.
And didn't have a great game, didn't have a terrible game. 3 innings pitched, I allowed 3 runs. Yeah.
His flashbacks.
Yeah, I remember the coach he was upset with me. Jason King, he didn't think I was competing. Took me out of the game. We lost the game, you know, they took me out. I think some of my base runners came in. They ended up winning handily that game. And that was pretty much it for me that season, you know. That was my opportunity, and the rest of the season I went back to the bottom of the totem pole. So I ended up finishing that season with like 6 innings under my belt. You know, there 56 games total, including playoffs of baseball. 56 games, I pitched 6 innings of those. And going into the season as, you know, top reliever, 5th starter. And yeah, that crushed me. That was my most difficult year of baseball. Just riding the bench. Kind of the only thing I could do was really dwell over that outing I had, and you know, I wasn't really as focused on the process anymore. I was one of those players where I was only as good as my last outing. So, you know, having that be my last game I played in for a long time before I got another opportunity, it was tough for me. It kind of disrupted my process where, you know, my motivation was shot a little bit. You know, it was hard for me to then, all right, you know, let me get up and go to the gym, or let me put my best foot forward at practice. You know, I was kind of demoralized, and I wish I had, going back, responded to that a lot differently. You know, kind of learned from it more and kind of used it as fuel rather than like a crutch to lean on.
Yeah, I mean, listening to what he just said, it really makes a lot of sense. Knowing that I know that head coach very, very well.
Oh, yeah?
And that's guaranteed that what he was looking for.
Right.
There's no
Fire you
doubt. I know that guy as a person, a human being, and sometimes he'll do things to make that kid figure out a little bit about life.
Yeah.
You know, and come back even stronger. So if you felt challenged, he probably did challenge you.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely am stronger because of it now. I wish I had kind of bounced back from that a little bit quicker, and maybe would have finished that season on the right note. But yeah, I mean, I see that now. I definitely appreciate Jason King as a coach. Great coach. I learned a lot from him. And you know, that humility, that being humbled, in a sense, that's important too.
Very important.
You know, you got to be willing to accept failure and embrace it rather than be afraid of it. You know, leading up to that game, I was so nervous. I was afraid almost because of that outcome. I was so afraid dwelling on that outcome that outcome became a reality. You know, I should have been focusing on not only the outcome I wanted, but the process of how to make that outcome I wanted happen.
Yep.
You know, because, you know, that fear of failure, it's just, it cripples you. You know, you can't, it's hard to play afraid. You know, you have to embrace it. That failure, it's a part of it. Failure leads to success if you're able to bounce back from it. It's just a lot of people, they can't bounce back from it, or you don't understand that's the part of the process. And I definitely didn't. But, you know, just...
Well, Sam, what year was that?
That was my sophomore year. That was
Tell me 15.
2014
14?
or 2015. 2013 was my freshman year, so 2014.
In 2015, I remember you pitching Pennsylvania in front of, I believe it was like 15,000 fans, was it?
Oh yeah, that AABA tournament.
Yep, AAA-BA tournament. And, I mean, you shut down the entire crowd over there.
That was awesome. That whole tournament.
We sent the entire town of Johnstown back home.
That's right.
It was Johnstown. The Johnstown team was like the home team that was hosting the tournament.
Yep.
And it was honestly the most unbelievable game of baseball I've seen, of witnessed in my life.
Right, yeah. I mean, I remember the tournament before we played at that main stadium, the Fenway replica.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're playing at these fields around Pennsylvania, not great
Chicago.
fields.
We played against team all black team Chicago,
Yep.
and then Michigan, the big lefty. I pitched that game.
You pitched the complete game. I remember.
8 innings, 1 hit.
I remember before I continued, Jovan put the team on his back at that tournament. I think you threw like over 20 innings in like 4 days.
Yeah,
like,
I did.
That's what he
Had
does.
2 wins, 2 wins, 2 saves.
That's abuse.
Yeah.
Oh my! It was
They were
unbelievable.
calling me Rubber Arm.
That's him.
We came in undermanned completely. We had like 12 guys total. Other teams had like full bullpens.
Yeah.
Without Jovan, oh my God, he put the we had like half the pitching of like any other team at most,
Yeah.
and Jovan just carried like half the. You probably pitched like probably half the innings that trip.
I did. I definitely pitched a lot.
Like great, not just like let me just burn these innings. You know, you dominated.
I wanted to win that championship so bad. I remember Angel passed away,
Right.
and that was a big motivator for us as well. A kid back home, you know, he played on the Astros. We
Angel
played.
Lawler.
It was the Giant. We had the Giants with my dad at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but we always played against Angel, and Angel's always a good guy.
With Reagan, he was on the Angels.
Yep.
Playing with Reagan,
Yep.
and on the Astros.
He's on the Astros as
One of
well.
those local guys.
Yep.
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 And he passed away while we were on that tournament, and it brought us all together very closely. You know.
Yeah, I didn't know Angel as well as everyone else on the team did, but I remember his guys were crushed. The game we had scheduled that night, luckily, well, I guess, yeah, we were probably a little too emotional to play. The power went out at the stadium.
That was unbelievable.
What?
Yeah,
Power went out. There was like a little fire in the back,
yeah, like the circuit blew or something.
and everybody had. That was when we were gonna play against Johnstown. So we got to witness the 15,000 fans, but we didn't play. We were on the field. We had a whole bucket of baseballs. I remember this. And all the guys were chucking the ball over the center field fence to show off their arm to all the fans. All the fans, throw another one. The coach flipped out. Where are the baseballs, guys? Where are the baseballs? They're all on the street.
Hey, we had never played in front of a crowd like that. I mean, I still have.
Coco was doing backflips, showing all the fans he could flip.
Yeah, we're playing on the local fields around Pennsylvania. Then we win those games to qualify to the later rounds, which were hosted at the stadium.
Yeah.
And then playing the hometown team as our first game at the stadium. We get to the stadium that first time, which ended up being canceled because the lights blew. But
We kind of, I think that helped us a lot.
yeah, that helped us settle in for sure.
Yeah, because we kind of knew what to expect now.
Well, I think that your coach probably flipped the switch because you didn't have the arms. You needed another day of rest.
That was huge too.
Yeah, that's true.
But seeing that crowd, it's like, oh my God, there's 10,000 people here, 15,000 people, like hometown people rooting against you.
Yeah.
And remember they had that big cannon up on that cliff behind home plate.
Yep. If a run scored, they let off a cannon.
Every
Wow.
time a run scored for the hometown team, they would launch this big. I don't know if it would actually shot something, but they would at least let it blast this loud noise, this
Yep.
big like ballista cannon,
Dang.
like they had like this ancient thing, and
It's
it was.
interesting.
It was
Oh my
unbelievable.
God! I remember our team,
experience.
everyone on our team would jump, like just not.
Like, guys,
used
we're
to
from
hearing
Boston.
that.
You can't be letting off
Yeah,
cannons.
right,
at us.
yeah.
Come on.
No firework.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny. The New England and Pennsylvania really got, from 2010 on, baseball-wise, really got better due to the fact of those indoor facilities.
yeah.
Yeah.
Guys really getting after this. Tons of players coming out of Pennsylvania now.
In this climate, you need those indoor facilities during
Oh,
that
yeah.
off season. That off season's so huge, and if you don't have a spot to train and develop, you're at a disadvantage for sure.
Yep.
Did you get to go to the World Series with Franklin Pierce throughout the
Yeah,
years?
my junior year, we won our regional. We went to the World Series, and we got eliminated by. I'm trying to blank on it. It'll come to me. We got eliminated in the World Series my junior year. Another great team. Yeah, one of my years at Franklin Pierce, we had some great players. A lot of draft picks. It was,
I probably know a bunch of them.
yeah, Calvin Graves,
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Paul Cavelli,
Calvin was nasty.
Jay Jabs,
Yeah, lefty hitter.
lefty hitter. Oh yeah.
I remember.
We had some really good. And a lot of guys who I was surprised didn't get drafted. Guys who put up really good numbers. Guys who were really good players for multiple years. Yeah, we had a really good team.
Those are definitely the years where scouts would flock to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the competition,
Mhm.
the players that he would bring in would bat. you get to
Yeah.
see kids if they can handle
Yeah.
the wood. But you really get tested when you move on to a World Series where everybody is like your team.
Right.
They got 30 guys in the bullpen ready to come out and get one guy comes in, gets one guy out, next guy comes in, he's throwing 93, 94, and you're like, wow, this looks like our team. But because up here, they were the beast of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Jason crushed teams.
Yep.
Crushed.
His
Yeah.
record at Franklin Pierce is, I don't think it will ever be touched.
I'd like to see the run differential too, because we would put our foot down on teams. Up 10 runs, yeah, we're gonna steal second, we're gonna steal third.
Yeah.
Like the run differential, not just the win percentage, but the run differential. I bet it's 10-1.
Yeah, I remember following them. You could see stats that mattered at that school. Where, like when I was in Florida, you watch stats and stolen bases matter down there, right?
Yeah.
At that school, they were stealing 10 again. I think they broke records for stolen bases
Oh
in
yeah.
those years.
I remember there was 2 players who broke records. I think back-to-back years. John Rosino and Justin Brock stealing records, just demons on the bases. Because we're not only are we playing wood bat, we're one of the only wood bat college conferences in the country.
Any 10.
Yeah, in the NE10, but playing in Ringe, New Hampshire, where it's 30 degrees for the first 2 months of the season. So small, you're not going to be hitting balls out of the park every inning. You got to push runs across in a different way.
Yep.
And bunting, stealing, that small ball was a huge part of it. For
So
sure.
let's talk about two things that you talked about being at, like Franklin Pierce, a Division II powerhouse. But the art of pitching, which you're still learning at it to this day.
Right.
What made you get to the point where you got on the field? Was it your diet? Was it weight training? Was it I'm looking around going, I got to do what they're doing? Or what changed?
Yeah.
Like developing my pitching.
How did you get from freshman year going, no way, and then sophomore year getting innings or being a guy? How did that happen?
Well, it's just a slow process. Kind of, first of all, changing my mentality towards how I look at myself as a player and my approach to my training, because I'm used to being a shortstop and training that way, And then, okay, I'm a pitcher now. Let me kind of embrace that pitching role. And I at Franklin Pierce during our practices, I would just repeat drills and exercises that they had for us pitchers specifically. I would kind of try to get better at those certain drills and exercises, but it wasn't really until after college where I really kind of embraced the mechanics of it, where it's like, okay, my balance, my stability, my core strength, my rhythm, and all those little things they're not little. I mean, you think of them as little when you're first starting to pitch. Baseball, it's become such a smash mouth thing where it's like, okay, it's just mono e mono. Let me throw this pitch as hard as I can, and let me swing this bat as hard as I can. But it's so much deeper than that, and just kind of understanding the fine tuning of it. I think of playing with Jovan as a pitcher. Jovan, he's not a smash mouth pitcher where he's got to try to just throw everything by you. He's competing, he's thinking, he's working. I'm at shortstop. Jovan's at second. We don't even talk about this before the inning. We're picking off guys this past summer.
Yeah.
Just I'd give him the flash. He'd give me the look. He'd pop a spin move, picking off guys. That mental part of the game is the most
Huge.
important. It's
Huge.
so huge in baseball. You got to really have an approach, have a plan of what you're doing instead of just mono e mono. Let me try to throw my hardest and you swing your hardest and we'll see who wins. It's a strategy. It's deception. It's really warfare. It's the art of war is deception, and that's really the art of pitching. It's deception.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way, all high school, up until I got to college, I was trying to throw up by guys thinking I had gas, 82 is gas, yeah. Till you get to college, these guys are seeing this thing looks like a beach ball,
Yeah.
You got to really learn how to pitch at that time, understand the mental part of the game. That's when I really started to become a pitcher, is when I understood, all right, I got to go at these guys with a plan. What does this guy look for in what count, and really start pitching that way instead
Yeah.
of trying to blow it by guys.
Working sequences,
You have to. 2 strikes, you gotta break something in the dirt, something high by the eyes. Don't give them a freaking cookie down the middle, you know?
Yeah, you gotta execute. You know, instead of I mean, that was my approach too. Like, all right, 2 strikes. Here's my most effort on this pitch. You know, it's not about effort. It's about having a plan and then executing your plan. You know, it's not always your best pitch isn't always the most effort you put into it. You know, most of the time it's probably one of your worst pitches. You know, too much effort. You could doing
Spike
too
it.
much. You could pull yourself out of form. Form is everything, especially with pitching and hitting. You know, you want to be balanced. You want to be controlled. You want to see what you're doing instead of pulling yourself in your head away from what you're looking at.
That's why I said try to teach young guys to throw every pitch with conviction. You
Yeah.
know, if you don't, and then you try to do it, it's not happening, pal.
Yeah.
You know, and he brought up, you know, the body, the core is everything when you're a pitcher.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's hard to explain, but if you don't have a strong core, you're not going to be throwing harder, staying healthy. You're going to get a nick here, there. Guaranteed, you pitchers, when you start running and stuff, you feel a million times better. Your arm
Oh,
could
yeah.
be sore. You start running, getting that
to go.
lactic acid moving around. You feel like $1 million.
It's true.
That's how pitchers do at practice.
that core strength is so vital for pitching. And that's another thing I didn't realize until after I left Franklin Pierce. The year after Franklin Pierce, I tried my hand at pro ball, independent ball. I went out to Michigan. I was invited to a spring training for the East Side Diamond Hoppers out in Michigan in the USPBL, the United Shore Professional Baseball League.
Yeah,
Yep,
I remember
yep.
it.
I got cut from that spring training, had a really bad spring training. I remember I had a lot of things going against me that time. Had a bad spring training, got cut, returned home, broke my hand when I just started working at the base. I'm at the first shift I had, the first 5 minutes. I'm
Remember you in
flipping,
the cast.
flipping front soft toss. Someone hit a liner back of my hand. I didn't get behind the screen. Broke my hand. So that whole summer, I was just doing what I could in the weight room with just working my core and my legs. And I came back like a different player.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, whoa, like I didn't understand how important the core strength is. You know, it really connects that lower and upper half. It works towards your body control and your balance and your stabilization, like the leverage of your movements and,
Yep.
and strength. Like oh my God, it's so important. I had no idea until again, a setback, failure. Breaking my hands, just recovering from that process, and in that process of recovering, I learned something really important about pitching.
Yeah.
And it's just like having a strong core.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most beneficial muscle group, but it's also the hardest muscle group to work. You know, doing core exercises is probably the most uncomfortable exercises, at least for me, but it's definitely the most beneficial for sure. All the guys listening out there, bust those core exercises.
For
Yeah,
sure.
no,
100%.
I witnessed it really firsthand. When I actually was at like some pro event and they had arm wrestlers there, which is off the topic, but it's on topic. There was a guy that was 175 pounds going against a guy that was 300 pounds.
Wow.
And he wiped him out 3 times in a row. And I'm like, I asked him afterwards, it's all about the core.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even in arm wrestling. Never mind, you got to go out there mano a mano and have balance, have poise, have the art of trying to get somebody out that wants to hit the ball right off your forehead.
Yeah.
You know, how am I going to get this guy out? You know, if you don't have a strong core and you don't have a plan, you're going to get tattooed.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, you could throw harder, they're going to hit it further.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Throw every pitch with conviction. Try to throw where you want it to go.
Yeah,
You know?
I tell my pitchers, like, if you're shooting a basketball, you don't just shoot towards, that area of the hoop. You shoot for the swish. You want
Yeah,
to drain it.
right.
You know, that's how you got to throw every pitch, not just during a game when you're throwing a bullpen, when you're playing catch with your buddy warming up.
Playing points.
You got-
hit him here, hit him in the face. Yeah.
Yep.
You got to be going for the chest or a particular spot every time if you really want to work your control of baseball. You know, if you're just throwing to an area all the time, when it comes down to you really hitting a spot, you have no experience doing that because that's not something you work towards or you work on. It's little things like that that just add up over a long period of time because everyone has a process, whether they know it or not. It's either is your process leading towards progression or is it kind of leading towards regression? Are you practicing getting better or are you practicing the wrong thing?
Yeah.
You know, everything's a process, and we all develop. It's all about controlling our process. By controlling the process and our routines, we can then control our future in a way by how we develop, how we go about things, what's our approach towards a certain situation.
objectives, goals, they matter.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes a lot of guys don't have them written down, so they can't see them. They can't revert back to something.
Yeah.
And, you know, pitching, you have to be able to track what you're doing to get gains. And I mean, a lot of the technology that they have now is really helpful to see whether or not you're getting gains, whether or not you have to move a little bit here, there. But consistency is everything with the pitcher. When we go out scouting pitchers, we're looking for repeating of delivery. Does he repeat his delivery? You know, does he throw his off speed the same arm speed as his fastball?
Yeah.
I mean, these little things matter because that kid that tries to throw harder in that one particular moment, he's not going to get the result that he wants.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about art of war, if pitchers are out there, they should get that. There's a book written about art of pitching. It's an amazing book, but it really tells you that it's not just about velocity. It's zero part of velocity.
Right.
And the mentality has to be, I'm ready. I'm going to get you out no matter what, because I'm the guy. Because
Yep,
as a
yep,
hitting guy, I'm trying to tell the hitters,
I'm the guy.
yeah, you're the guy because that pitcher's got to throw 3 strikes. You got to hit one of them.
Yep.
So who has the advantage? It's whoever who masters their craft has the advantage.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
Doesn't matter body type, doesn't matter crap.
Yep.
It's who masters what they're working on.
Yep. Who's got the better plan, or who executes that plan more
Yeah.
effectively? Such a mental battle, baseball.
Yeah.
You know, people they don't like watching it because they see it for what it is on the surface. They're
It's
not
boring.
seeing all the gears turning on the players' heads. You know,
Yeah.
the approaches, the mental battle that's going on. It's, you know, you really got to play and understand baseball to see that. You know, I feel like 90% of fans out there watching the game, probably less than that, you know, give people more credit, but most people don't really understand that mental battle that's going on that you can't see. It's, you know, from your own experiences playing baseball, it's like, okay, he's trying to do this, and hey, he knows it, so he might be trying to do this. So just watching those play out and, you know, man, I can't wait till we start going to Red Sox games again. But
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
those play out in the big leagues is really fun to watch.
Well, I tell you, like
It's
he's
chess.
It not only is it chess, but you watch a pro game, or if you're around pro players, they make the game so slow,
Yeah.
and that's a whole part of getting forward in your own program is slowing things down for yourself.
Right.
You know, when
Give
you
yourself
watch
time
that
to think.
100-mile-per-hour ball come at a third baseman and he just picks it like he's supposed to,
Yeah.
and you, as a baseball person, you go, wow, that's different. But for them, they've slowed the game down enough with
Yeah.
repetition that they're going to make the play 9 out of 10 times.
Yep.
You know,
Right. It's all about making those things like picking those balls or certain parts of your mechanics, making that second nature, where it's like, okay, you don't even have to think about that anymore because you practice it so much that it's just automatic.
Yeah.
It's like I try to preach it with my pitchers when we're throwing bullpens. It's like, man, I really want you guys to take some velocity off this pitch and slow yourself down to really feel yourself moving. You know, because in a game you're gonna be throwing hard or pretty close to as hard as you can, whether you like it or not. The adrenaline, the intensity of competition, you're gonna be putting your effort out there. So at practice, it's so vital to really slow yourself down and develop a feel that you could rely on in those moments of competition. You know, practice with a purpose, practice controlled, and those fine details that, you know, it's different for everyone, but those details that are important to your mechanics, really focusing on that and slowing it down at practice. So in a game, you have that foundation to rely on when you're competing against another guy who's trying to hit it rather than just throwing to a catcher or throwing to against a wall or whatever it may be.
I think like what he's saying is visualization in any sport matters.
Yeah.
Because if you do it so many times, you're going to remember. Your brain's going to take over and say, "I've been here before. Just do this." You know, when Tom Brady throws touchdown passes, he visualizes things before he throws the ball. A golfer is going to visualize where he wants to hit the ball. You know, a pitcher has to visualize that I want to throw the ball right there, and if I don't throw it there, I'm going to get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
You know, but practice, you know, makes perfect.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
visualization, if you hear any major athlete talk about how they prepare, it's almost every single time, it's some part of it is visualization, really seeing it play out in their mind the way they want it to before it plays out.
Before it plays out.
Yeah, and-
100%.
Right, you have to see it to then do it. You have to You have to think about what you want to do in the moment in order to do that. It's like when you're pitching, if you're thinking, don't walk this hitter, it's a 3-2 pitch, you gotta strike him out, maybe bases are loaded. If you're thinking, don't walk this guy, as opposed to, I'm gonna strike this guy out, that slight difference in mentality is all the difference in that situation. If you're
Yes.
thinking, oh,
Huge.
don't walk this guy, don't walk this guy, don't walk this guy, I
gonna walk
bet
him.
my ass you're gonna walk that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put
But
'em on.
vice versa, if you're thinking, I'm going to hit this spot, I'm going to punch this guy out, if you're thinking what you want to do, odds are you'll probably do it. It's mentality, the mental part of baseball, the mental part of life and processes and approaches. It's so key. It's the most important aspects.
100%.
I think everybody needs to hear that, especially the
Yeah.
young guys.
Oh, yeah.
I think that his Boston Latin teachers would love to hear him now versus the way he
Right.
was when he was 16.
That's right. Yeah, I see when my process is done.
Yeah,
It's
man.
great stories.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, but playing with Sam is another. It's unbelievable having this kid on the field with you. I mean, he's full of charisma. Just get your energy up. I'm going back to the AAABA tournament. I remember the line drive in that game to keep the shutout. You remember that play?
The line drive in the game. What was
Down
that?
the line, you were at third base,
Yep.
and you did a flip to catch the ball.
You were pitching, right?
It was Nick Powers pitching. He closed out the ninth inning. It was to save the game. It was we were winning, I believe, maybe 1-0.
Yeah.
That game. That was a very close game, 1-0, and that was to go play at that stadium. And you dove off the line. You were literally limping up the hill.
Yeah, I remember that. That wasn't at the stadium. That was the game
against
before.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, oh yeah, Nick Powers came in to relieve you.
Yep.
Yeah, he hit that shot down the line. I laid out and caught it. I remember my knee landed like on a rock. And I had like a deep bruise in my knee.
That wasn't the stadium then.
It wasn't the stadium, but yeah, I remember that catch for sure. For sure, I remember
rocks
that.
on the
Unbelievable
field,
catch.
like
Yeah.
being in Boston.
Yep.
Yep, just like home.
Yeah.
Then you get to the stadium. You're on that was a turf field, right?
The stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stadium was turf field. They have the big bleachers wrapped around down the left field foul pole all the way to the right field foul pole, packed with fans. It's
Cool.
like, man, this is what it's all
That's dope.
about.
They're screaming at us, "You suck! You
Right.
suck!
This is what it's all about.
Get him out of there!" I'm
It's
like,
funny. Do you remember the day before we played on that field? We were at the field watching the Johnstown team play another team,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and we were sitting next to this old couple, kind of just having a conversation with them, laughing. And I remember like Poncho and them were saying, "Oh, he's pitching," pointing at me, saying, "Oh, he's pitching tomorrow. He's the pitcher." And they were kind of like friendly, they were friendly trash talking me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told them, "Hey, dog, I'm gonna strike out a batter in a big spot late in the game, and I'm gonna point right at you," because they were telling us we sit here every single game. I was telling them I'm gonna point right at you, and sure enough, I struck someone out late in the game, and I walked off the field and I pointed right at them. And Poncho actually sent me a video last year where he found like a little news clip of the coverage of that game, and they have some clips from that game, and one of them is sure enough is me walking off the field after a strikeout, pointing right at those people. I'll show you in a bit.
Sick.
It's funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was that Johnstown tournament. That was a blast playing in front of that crowd.
We made it to the championship, which was awesome.
Yeah, understand. We're limping as a team. We have
Yeah.
no pitching, and all these other teams, they're like 30 guys. We came over there with like 12. We had like 4 guys on the bench, like
Yep.
position player backup. Like Jovan, like I said, he put the team on his back, dominating like 20 innings pitched in 4 days. Like I don't know how you did that. Oh
That's
man.
crazy.
But yeah, the team that we lost to, they had all these like LSU commits. They had a
Yeah, it
full
was,
bullpen.
New Orleans, Team New
yeah.
Orleans.
Yeah, they were
remember you
stacked.
telling
It's
me about
like,
that.
man, like if we had just brought a few more guys, like because we had no pitching at that point. In the championship, we were throwing anyone we had left.
Yeah.
Frank Kelly, Miguel.
That was tough, man. Frank Kelly, unbelievable talent. Miguel Lorenzo,
Yeah,
great catcher.
Let's be honest though. When you go to tournaments and even if you're playing in a World Series,
Mhm.
you have to have luck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
It's got to be a
You
part of
have
it.
to, because there's sometimes where you end up playing that extra game and the other team's playing the extra game, and all of a sudden the shortstop's coming into pitch, and that's just the reality of baseball.
Yeah.
You know,
You want to hear luck, Joel? In that tournament, to get to the championship, we're in the semifinals, and I come in to pitch. And they're like, all right, I wasn't supposed to pitch. I was supposed to pitch the championship game. They were trying to hold me as best as they could, because I honestly, that was probably the most the best I've pitched in my life was in that tournament.
Dominated.
Yeah, I felt great. And so we get it's against Altoona. We're pitching. I'm pitching. It's the bottom of the 9th inning, and there's a man on first base. He's a tying run. Kid hits a shot off me into the center field gap. Center field is chasing it down. It bounces off the warning track. Ground rule double. Man off
Just goes to
second
third.
and third. And I ended up popping up the next guy to get to the championship. It was unbelievable, and that's the luck that we're talking about right there.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, there's so
Game of
many.
inches, man.
Yeah, there's
Seriously.
so many forces at play in any given baseball game. You know, you got to have that little extra luck on your side sometimes to pull it off.
I think we could go on forever with luck, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
look at the Red Sox with Dave Roberts stealing a base. And,
Oh, my
like,
God.
it's just us, the Yankees thing coming back with the Red Sox. Luck,
Yeah, it's true.
you know. But the powers of baseball, they're not that friendly.
Nope.
That Dave Roberts steal, me and my dad are convinced, is the single greatest moment in all of sports history.
Yeah,
You know, that was just to
it's
get
up there.
getting to get the tying run in scoring position to potentially tie the game to avoid the sweep.
Yeah.
You know, just that little moment led to the greatest comeback of all time.
Everybody knows he's stealing. The other team knows they've got professionals that work on holding runners 50 hours a week, and he still stole the bag.
Stealing the bag on Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, and Derek Jeter. I
Jeter,
don't think
yeah.
Posada's not a Hall of Famer, but he
Yeah,
he-
he's
Definitely
will be.
Yankee Hall of Fame.
But you know, 3 Hall of Famers he's stealing
Yeah.
on. It's not like he just stole a base. It was like an 11-minute ordeal with Mariano holding,
Yeah.
holding, pickoff, holding, holding,
he was one of the
pickoff.
quickest guys ever to the plate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was doing everything. He didn't just throw the pitch. He did everything he can to make that the
Well,
most difficult base to steal, and he did it. Oh my! Tip your cap to Dave Roberts. He's, you know, there's some legends who build their legendary status over a career. Dave Roberts did it in that one moment,
Yep.
which is incredible.
Yeah, no.
Unforgettable.
I'll never forget it.
I'll
Well,
forget
again,
it.
baseball
I'll forget it.
people, if you think baseball is boring, it ain't that boring.
No, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
No, once you see through, you know, the surface, there's a lot going on. It's a really complex game.
There's a million things going on every pitch.
Yeah.
A lot of communication,
And
a
just
lot of disinformation.
yeah,
you
a lot
know.
of nerves too. I mean, being a pitcher, Jovan, I'm sure you can relate. You know, you have a lot of nerves pitching in a game, let alone a big game. So you know, when I see these guys pitching in the major leagues in like the World Series in big spots, you know, really tip your cap for executing the pitches they do. Because man, it's nerve-wracking pitching, and in a spot like that where you got the world watching you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really think like what we talk about, if you can give back to those young fellas, the same thing as what a professional athlete gets to be able to deal with that moment with the mental aspect. There's mental coaching, there's psychosis, whatever it takes
Yep.
to get that person with that freak of nature ability to be able to compete at that any given moment is not just physical. It's mental, because you know
Mostly mental.
you know there was probably, I would say, 5 guys that only had 6 innings at Franklin Pierce that threw 90 plus.
Right.
And that's just the reality of it, because if you put him in there and he can't throw a strike, he can't be in there. You know, so mentally, they weren't as gifted as they were physically.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the process is different from other people, but having the ability for you to teach those young guys, it's more mental than physical, because physical's going to come.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, but when you get to that stage, they have the support systems in place to help guys get over, you know, fear, you know, get over mental blocks.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see that in baseball because it's so grinding. You see the Chuck Knoblauchs of the world that can't throw the ball from second base to first. That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen to high school kids,
Yep.
college kids,
John
pro
Lester
guys.
can't pick off.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like
that, yeah.
mental yips.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But they have the supports in place. But the experiences that you guys are talking about, you can give back to these younger guys that you're working with
Oh yeah.
to get them to be at the point where a coach is going to know that that kid's been coached.
Yep.
You know, not so much on the field, but I'm saying be able to back up a base, be able to be a pitcher and do a banana drill, and the coach is like, wow, we don't have to go over this too much because this kid knows how to field his position.
Right.
That's another
Yeah.
thing that doesn't get talked a lot about for
Right.
pitchers.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Fielding, pickoffs, like, you know, it's so important as pitching. It's like not even considered, like.
Right. The more you advance in baseball, the more particular defense is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna put that kid that can hit bombs at first base, but the ball's gonna find that kid.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna have to work at your craft. You know, and pitching, the art of pitching comes with holding runners, fielding your position, being able to execute. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, it takes time, but you got to get the reps. And where
Right.
do you get the reps? Sometimes you have to be indoors to get reps, to feel, to get that feel for, like you said, you can go out there and throw as hard as you can, but if you don't have feel pitching, you can't pitch.
Yeah.
If you can't pitch inside, you can't pitch. You know,
And not just those physical reps, those mental reps, you know, going to bed at night and visualizing, maybe the night before a game, visualizing how you want to pitch, how you want to go about it. You know, that's so important. Like we were saying, visualization, maybe say that word, just visualizing your plan, your approach, and seeing it play out before you actually do it, seeing it play out the way you intend on it playing out or the way you want it to in your head. It's so important to actually make that a reality. You know, it's got to start in your head. It's having that mental
Yeah.
focus, that mental approach.
it's getting away from the weaknesses and focusing on your strengths,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and basically following a plan to execute what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of about life, right, guys?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can't
That's
sit back and wait for someone to do something for
You
you.
can't.
Yeah, like sports is a microcosm of life. You know, the values of what it takes to be a successful athlete. It's the same values that it takes to be successful in any part of life, whether it be school or your career or, you know, your relationships with your family and your friends. You know, it requires the same sort of approach.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people,
It's a process.
a lot of jobs like to hire people that were previous athletes too.
Right, yeah, because, you know, not only do they have that work ethic, they are used to living in a routine and working towards a particular process, you know,
Handling pressure.
handling pressure, competing,
Mm-hmm.
teamwork,
Yeah.
communication, you know, all these valued skills in the workforce. You know, it all stems from, well, in athletics, it all stems from athletic training.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Women that go on to play college sports are really highly sought after because they've beaten so many odds, and they know how to compete. They finish their degree because they're not going pro to play softball. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're finishing their 4 years, and they're going to get everything out of that. And, you know, in life, working with guys versus girls, their attention to detail blows you guys away. You know, now you put on that competitive nature, and they've successful through school, and they've been on teams and know how to deal with everyone's different types of personalities. They're great hires. No different than a guy, but the attention to detail is a little different.
Yeah, girls, I think, definitely start that maturing process earlier.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
definitely a
definitely.
little step ahead. I know my girlfriend, she's like eons ahead of me in terms of like organization
Yeah.
and, you know, being on top of her stuff and, you know, her responsibilities and taking care of things she has to do. It's like I see her do it all the time, and it's like a lot of the time I got nothing to do. I'm just like watching YouTube, like, wow,
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't think before we speak.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
words are really, really important, especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's stuff that I've learned in second grade. You know, I went to a Catholic school. They drilled stuff into your brain, right?
Yeah.
But the one like little memory gem that I remember was like a little poem of words. And it would be like, words are such funny things. They can be lovely or give bitter stings. Think once before you let them go, because you can never get them back. You know, what matters?
Yeah.
If you think about what I just said, life is all about treating people with respect, and your words really matter.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah, they say sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. That's a load of crap.
Yeah.
It's a load of crap. Words definitely can hurt you. They can probably hurt you more than sticks and stones can.
Oh,
Yeah.
And we know that he's got plenty of bones broken, so he knows.
Yeah, I know firsthand, so
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, this has been a great episode, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting
Awesome.
ready. We're getting ready for the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Sam, I really appreciate you coming on, man.
No, this was a blast.
Yeah, Sam, thanks for coming on, and
having me.
can't wait to play with you this summer.
Can't wait.
Marlins, baby.
That's right.
There you go.
So go give those kiddos your knowledge and your wisdom.
Yep.
That's it.
Great.
All right. Great job, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got hunting here.
I didn't realize how loud those
Well.
headphones were.
Yeah.